Alright, what the heck is going on, my dudes? We're back here today with the next champion entering MCOC. We got Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this the past few months, but the mutant class has kind of been like, you know, back in the day, back in the glory days, the mutant class was the best. It used to be the tops, and then it kind of fell off over the past couple of years. But let's go back the past like 6 months or so. Danny Moonstar buff. Great buff, right? I mean, she was always good. For some reason, people thought she was bad. People were saying she was like the worst champ of the year, and now people are realizing how good she is after the buff. The buff didn't change much, but hey, what are you gonna do? You got Onslaught. I mean, come on, we don't even have to talk about Onslaught. Mr. Sinister buff is so freaking good, an old champ most people have. Now we have Negasonic Teenage Warhead, who honestly, in my opinion, she is a mutant who counters the skill class. Not the best mutant, but she counters the skill class. The best of any mutant, okay? And I'm gonna explain to you why in this video. There is not a single thing in the skill class that's a hard problem that she does not answer. The only RPG elements that she does not answer currently in the skill class is Nick Fury's second life. She can't cheese the second life. Okay? And Kingpin's unstoppable on special too. Or like Mole Man's unstoppable hitting his block, right? She doesn't have a slow passive. But just bait Kingpin special 1 if you're fighting Kingpin, right? It's kind of insane how much utility she has against the skill class, and we're gonna go over all of that today, alright? So, she is the only champion in the game where every single effect that she has, everything, is passive. Not like Onslaught's, oh, the debuff turns into a passive, but it doesn't work against cleanse. Not like Bishop's, oh, if the stun goes off, you get the stun passive. Not like White Magneto's, oh, if you use the pre-fight, you get the stun passive. No. Every single thing she has is passive, including her parry stun. She converts to the passive automatically, okay? Zero debuffs whatsoever. So, during the fight, she has the following passives: Incinerate, Incinerate Vulnerability, and Stun. That's it, right? She has a very simple kit, okay? All of her attacks deal energy damage and do not make contact. That is like a slight upgrade to what Shuri does, where none of her attacks make contact. There are so many effects in the game, right, that you bypass by not making contact with the opponent. And it's such a powerful thing, on top of not being able to parry her, so you can't get parried with her in Battlegrounds or Alliance War, right? You won't get parried by the opponent because you're all non-contact, okay? Your energy damage, that means you could take a Tuma, you could take Korg, you could take Killmonger, without taking any reverberation or thorns damage whatsoever, ever, no matter what, okay? Now, her medium attacks inflict 1 Incinerate on the opponent, up to 5, okay? Now, you could do more Incinerates with her special attacks, but on the way up to your specials, you throw some mediums, you put some Incinerates on. The light attacks simply pause those Incinerates from the mediums for 1.5 seconds, and when you use a heavy attack, you put the Incinerate vulnerability on the opponent, okay? Now, she also has an Evade, and the Evade is quite good, okay? She enters the fight with a Precognition Charge, which allows her to evade an attack and counter-attack, inflicting a stun passive, okay? This won't happen when you're blocking. Now, she has a 15% chance to evade medium and light attacks that make contact, again, that make contact, right? So like Shuri is going to bypass that. Increase to 100% while charging a heavy attack. So you can control that on offense, and you use a heavy attack to evade, right? And you inflict some Incinerate passives like that, okay? Now, on defense, that's going to make her a little bit annoying in the right meta because you won't be able to parry her, right? And if she's charging a heavy attack, you can't interrupt her, and she can evade you with a light or a medium attack. Now, that being said, against tech champions, it starts on cooldown for 25 seconds, alright? So you can counter this very, very easily just by using a tech champion, and each time you knock her down, or if she's inflicted with power burn, drain, or power lock, it also goes back on cooldown. So lots of tech champions are going to be able to counter this, plus any champion as well if you just counter the end of her heavy attack with a heavy, okay? So it's not an unfair defensive mechanic, however, it is going to be potentially a little bit sneaky depending on like if you can trap your opponent with her, okay? Also, this isn't super duper important, but each time the opponent lands a critical hit, including through block, 1.5 seconds is removed from the cooldown. So like, for example, if you're fighting Bullseye and it's going poorly, right, and you find your thing on cooldown, if you like bait a special one and you block the whole thing, right, it's going to be critical hits through block, and that's going to be just removing the cooldown back to normal. All right. Now, while fighting skill champions, this is crazy. The opponent's bleed, evade, and true effects suffer minus 100% ability accuracy. Additionally, precognition does not go on cooldown from evading a counterattack. So, she just turns off bleeds on the opponent. Nick Fury's bleeds, Zemo's bleeds, Moleman's bleeds, Bullseye's instant bleeds, Shield's bleeds through block. She just turns off one of the main, like, damage effects, damaging threats, defensive threats from the skill class. Straight up. Minus 100% ability accuracy. Right? You also counter their evade. So, like, not that, like, OG Daredevil is, like, a tough champion to fight, but just for example, he will never evade, right? Your non-contact attacks. Now, Bullseye, for example, obviously this screams Bullseye counter, and it is. Now, Bullseye's evade can't be countered by ability accuracy reduction, so he is going to evade you. However, when an opponent counterattacks you while you're using her, you counterattack the counterattack. So like Kate Bishop's counterattack, you will counterattack that and stun her. Bullseye, you will do that. And against skill champions, the evade doesn't go on cooldown when you do that. So you just cheese these skill evaders. It's absolutely crazy, man. And I'll show it to you in this video. But yeah. Now the heavy attack, you can charge it longer than normal. Cool. And the first hit inflicts incinerate vulnerability. Cool. We're going to go in backwards order on the special 3. The special 3 inflicts a stun, incinerate, and incinerate vulnerability passives, all at 50% duration. The special 2. After the first hit, rapidly pressing block builds up dormant incinerates up to 16, which are inflicted by the final hit. So you want to mash the screen kind of like you're playing Howard the Duck, okay? And you're going to increase the amount of incinerates that you place, and you can put up to 16, which is quite a bit, okay? And if you don't press block, you could have anywhere between 4 and 12 at random, but just press it. And the special one refreshes all personal incinerates, even if blocked, and each hit after the first inflicts an incinerate, okay? Now, let's go over her SIG ability really quick. As an attacker, her counter-attack evade inflicts 3 incinerates, okay? Also, all personal incinerates are paused during her special attacks, and striker hits and counter-attacks, okay? Pause, incinerate, and incinerate vulnerability as if they were light attack, and as a defender, she starts each fight with 100% of a bar of power, making her, again, a little bit better on defense, okay? So, that is Negasonic Teenage Warhead. That is how she works, okay? Now we're going to go over some fights today. I'm going to show you one fight, and then I'm going to show you a lot of utility-based stuff today, and then I'm going to show you the deep dive video that I made, because it pretty much goes over, like, all of those top skill defenders that she counters so well. But let's take a look. Alright, so first up, we have a new Winter Soldier here. This one's got about 260,000 health, right? So just an example for, like, a skill opponent health pool in Battlegrounds, right? This is kind of what you're going to want to do. You're going to start... I like to start with the heavy attack, right, for the incinerate vulnerability. Go in for, like, you know, pop your incinerates on. Now, the stun passive is long enough where you can do, like, parry, medium, 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 light, 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 medium type thing. But once you get your 5 incinerates on, right, you just want to use your light attacks to go in here to pause them. Now I like to go for the heavy attack evade, and one thing I like to do is it's long enough where you can dash in, throw a heavy attack, and then cancel the heavy into the special 2. The heavy refreshes the incinerate vulnerability, which is nice to have, you know. That's always a fun time because you're gonna plop a lot of incinerates on now when you're mashing the block button, right? 24 incinerates, and now we can keep them all paused. We want to make our way up to, you know, special 1. I'm baiting a special 1 from Winter Soldier here. You could be more aggressive, nothing wrong with that. And the special 1 just refreshes everything and places 3 more. Now you can stack up to 40 incinerates, right? And, you know, in most Battlegrounds, Alliance War type fights. This is 260,000 health, you know? Like, you're not gonna need anywhere near that. That's gonna be like for like longer fight type stuff, and then you could just keep those things paused and refreshing with special 1 until the opponent is dead, right? But we are gonna go over some utility stuff here. First and foremost, let's look at this fight against Chie'lt, okay? Now, Chie'lt's main threat here is her bleeds through block. It does a lot of chip damage, but look, -1, we're gonna get hit by this, so you can see 0 bleeds, doesn't even say anything, right? It doesn't do anything. It does, I'm not sure if that's going to trigger his Sig ability with the precisions, but either way, it doesn't really matter. As you can see, right, you can ignore her cleanse because everything is passive. You ignore her bleeds because the ability accuracy is -100%, you know? Against Atuma here, right, we're all non-contact. So every single thing we do is non-contact to the point we're going to finish with Atuma here at a full yellow bar. We're not going to take any damage from his thorns. Same thing for Korg. First and foremost, he's not going to shrug off our parry, right? But everything we do is passive, so we don't have to worry about his rock stacks there. Our evade helped us out there a little bit, but check this out, right? Look, no thorns because we're all energy and non-contact. And then, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, the Bullseye here, the way she counters Bullseye is so insane. It's so insane, dude, so check it out. Boom! Look at that. The evade is just... boom! Look at that stun, man. It's the perfect duration to just keep that going, right? And in a BG-sized health pool against a Bullseye, it's going to be just enough to cheese him the entire way, right? Especially if you're at equal ranks. If you're doing like 6-star Negasonic against like 7-star rank 3 Bullseye, I would probably suggest baiting out a special 2 from Bullseye instead of cheesing him to 3 bars of power. But if you're at equal ranks, you really could get a little bit cheesy against Bullseye, man. So let's take a quick look at the deep dive rotation that I made because it counters all of those crazy skill defenders in it. To begin, perform a heavy attack to inflict your Incinerate vulnerability. Then, use your mediums to stack on some Incinerates. Your stun passive lasts for 2 seconds, so if you're quick, you can get in some extra hits. Use your light attacks to keep your passives paused as you make your way up to Special 2. And before launching, you can charge your heavy to evade and stack on 3 more Incinerates. Launch your Special 2 and mash the block button to stack on up to 16 more Incinerates. From here, keep them paused with your lights and refresh with your Special 1. And if the opponent isn't already melted, just keep launching your Special 1 until they are. Now, keep in mind, all of her attacks are energy-based and non-contact. Also, all of her personal effects are passive. So, those pesky skill champs who punish debuffs and contact attacks with Purify and Thorns damage won't be too much of an issue for Negasonic. And hey, she has a 100% chance to evade an opponent's counterattack. And against skill champions, evading in this way won't trigger her precognition cooldown. She also reduces their bleed ability accuracy by 100%. So, if you're up against a skill opponent who consistently counterattacks and punishes you with bleeds, don't get too crazy, but don't be afraid to get a little cheesy. And yeah, man, that's Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Like I've been saying, she's kind of nuts. She just counters every defensive threat in the skill class right now, man, which is just really, really crazy. You know, she's not as good as Onslaught, straight up. Like, I'm not saying she's the best mutant, but she counters the skill class even better than Onslaught does, in my opinion, just from an RPG perspective, because there's really nothing that stops what she does aside from Incinerate immunity, which isn't really in the skill class. I guess you can't use her against Night Thrasher. Oh well. Alright, that's gonna be it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, drop your boy. Oh, but one thing real quick though, I do like these types of synergies. Opponents that are immune to Incinerates are inflicted with matching Ruptures with 60% of the original potency. So, you know, she's not going to be great against Incinerate immune champions, but that's not super duper common. But when it is, you get Ruptures. Alright, that's it for this one. Drop your boy a big ol' like. Let me know what you think about Negasonic in the comment section below, and I'll be seeing you around.